Hello, welcome one and all my dear Switch watchers and those who randomly search for Switch horror imports. Horror games always have been and always will be a popular genre. My first horror game as a 6-year-old was watching my dad play Resident Evil on the PlayStation 1 and I have been scarred ever since. Halloween may have come and gone, but who gives a monkeys? Horror should be an all-year event. Let's take a look at Nintendo Switch horror games that have a physical release with English, but only in Japan and Asia. Now, not all of these games may have terrifying horrors in them, we're also including games that have horror themes to them, while not necessarily being scary. So if a game has a demonic pumpkin, for example, well, it's not scary, but it sure damn deserves representation. Let's start with Blair Witch. This is a first-person horror game made from the developers of Observer and the more recent The Medium. A licensed tie-in no one saw coming, this takes place after the events of the first movie, as a former police officer with his dog companion join the search for a missing child. This features a semi-open world as you may stumble upon abandoned buildings or campsites. It does feature a few puzzles as well in order for you to access certain areas, as well as collecting dog tags or photos of missing people. There's a lot of atmosphere here, but the biggest gameplay addition to the usual formula is your little doggo. You can interact and command your dog as he can find items and lead the way. He'll also warn you of when something dangerous is heading your way. What a good little doggy. It doesn't all work brilliantly as the game did receive mixed review scores, but if you like what the studio usually do, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one as well. In Japan, this received a standard physical version as well as a collector's edition, which is what I got, and that includes a soundtrack, art book, and some DLC. Like all the games on this list, it plays in English and on any Nintendo Switch. While the original Coma game on the Switch got a physical release in the West, Japan went one better and put the original game and its sequel on the same cartridge, a double pack. Japan loved their double packs, as you'll see. I wasn't a particular fan of the original game despite the fascinating premise of being hunted down by a demonic crazed stalker, especially a really hot one. It did lack a lot of polish for me. Interestingly, it was my first ever video for SwitchWatch before I'd even joined the team, so check that review out if you want some cringe. The sequel, however, which came out not too long ago, really upped its game. It was more responsive, had more variety, and kept you on your toes as it was nowhere near as predictable. It's side-scrolling horror as you weave in and out of corridors and rooms, occasionally hiding in the bogs when the sexy killer chases you down. Definitely worth it for the second game. The first game is kind of a bonus. Dead by Daylight. Now I know what you're thinking, this game did get a physical release in the West. Yes, but that's just the base game. In Japan there are two more releases, one that's already out and one that's coming out very soon. Or maybe it's out already. I don't know when I'm going to edit this video. Who knows when I'm going to have time. The one that is out already is the Silent Hill edition, which includes a Silent Hill licensed chapter, while a newer release, the 5th anniversary, has a different chapter which is themed in the Resident Evil universe with Nemesis and Jill and stuff. Very nice indeed, but I don't think all of that is on the cartridge. I think that's a download code for that DLC, maybe. But anyways, if you don't know what Dead by Daylight is, it's a 4v1 survival game. One person is the big bad, while the other 4 try to survive. These can be a lot of fun when played with the right people. Just remember, you need a Nintendo Switch online account to play online. The Distraint Collection is a double helping of surreal side-scrolling horror games. Both are only a few hours long each, so it makes sense to put them together into one package. But yeah, these are eerie and atmospheric releases that have a focus on the story and puzzles. They are minimalistic and focused, that may not be essential, but they are interesting experiences nonetheless. This game is a Play Asia exclusive, and there was a collector's edition which is now sold out, but they still have some standard editions left at the time of recording. Probably not many considering only 1,500 were made, so don't miss out if you need some surreal horror. Are you enjoying this list so far? Well, if you do, don't forget to subscribe because we are giving away a Nintendo Switch OLED model once we reach 100,000 subscribers. And if any of the games in this list take your fancy and you want to import them for yourself, then consider using the links below in the description and the pinned comment. If you use those links, it also massively helps support SwitchWatch at the same time, and in return you can also get a very nice 5% off any physical item from Play Asia if you use the coupon code SwitchWatchTV while checking out. That's all one word, SwitchWatchTV, while checking out for 5% off any physical item from Play Asia. And remember, for all of November, it is free shipping on orders over $50. cometh the demonic pumpkins. Let's take a look at Cotton Guardian Force Saturn Tribute, a 3-in-1 game pack, but the demonic pumpkin only relates to 2 of them, Cotton 2 and Cotton Boomerang. Obviously it's not scary, but they are the perfect shooters if you want something a little on the cutesy spooksy side. 2 fine shmups that hardcore fans of the genre will enjoy. Now, Strictly Limited Games have said they will publish this physically in Europe, and you can pre-order that right now if it's not sold out already. But anyways, this Japanese and Asian versions, they'll be readily available in the future, and you'll be able to get them right now rather than waiting God knows how long for those guys in Strictly Limited. Now, people did take issue with this release due to the higher than normal input lag, but a patch is supposedly in the works. In a similar fashion, we have Deathsmiles 1 and 2. This apparently contains 3 games in the series of side-scrolling gothic shmups originally from Cave. Grim Reapers, Pumpkins, Demonic Santas. Now this is my kind of horror. Now I don't care if Juan didn't put it in his list of the ultimate horror games on the Switch from a few weeks back. This is my list. It ain't his list, he just don't appreciate Demonic Santas like myself. Now, with a fair amount of people complaining about my review of the previous Cotton Collection I just said about, with the input lag, which I just can't feel by the way, people are worried about City Connection, and this is the same publisher. So if you're one of those people, then maybe hold on to see what the port is like. This is going to be a standard edition and a collector's edition, although as with Cotton, Strictly Limited are planning to do a European limited version too, so you can wait for that if you really want to, or this one I'm sure will be more readily available in the future. Fatal Frame is one of the premier horror games on the system, originally a Wii U game, now published to other consoles including the Nintendo Switch. I was so happy this got another lease of life. Its original release wasn't exactly lauded, but I liked it a lot. I'm a sucker for creepy ass Japanese horror, especially on spooky ass mountains. There's a lot of nice lore to get sucked into here, and while the gameplay may not be so robust, it's still enjoyable running around doing combat with ghosts with a spirit camera if you want Pokemon Snap but with dead people. Now, the physical in the East isn't exactly perfect since English will only be available as a download on November 30th, so English is not on the cartridge until you update it after then. It's not brilliant, but it may bother some people less than others. Watch my review if you need more convincing of why this Fatal Frame game is epic. Battle Princess Madelyn is a game that's got demonic pumpkins, so it's in, Juan, it is in. Inspired by the classic Ghouls and Ghosts series, it's got all the hallmarks of a fun, goofy horror. This has more adventure, open world flavor than the standard level design of an arcade Ghouls and Ghosts game, which doesn't always work in its favor, no doubt a victim of feature creep thanks to its Kickstarter. There is an alternative edition which came later and went with the developer's original vision, but this Japanese physical is what came as a result of the Kickstarter. If you like Ghouls and Ghosts, you'll get a kick out of this one for sure. The letter may sound a bit generic, and even then they needed to add the subtitle, a horror visual novel, just to set it apart from the rest, but inadvertently making it sound even more generic. But don't let the name fool you, because this is a quality horror visual novel. Very mature, heavy-duty visual novel with gore and dialogue that don't hold back. And surprisingly for a visual novel, it is indeed supposed to be quite scary at times. Good characters, good writing make this an essential for fans of mature visual novels. This is a Play Asia exclusive physical release, and there's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition which includes a soundtrack CD, which is always great. That is limited though, so don't hang about because they'll be gone soon, I promise. Obakeidoro! Let's head back to the cute section because we're taking a look at this game. This is a cops and robbers type game with a very Tim Burton horror look to it, meaning it's adorable. It's an asymmetric multiplayer game where one of you hunts down the rest of the players who need to hide. It's Friday the 13th, just without the impalements. It looks super simple and is, to be fair, one for party games and that's it. Okay, we've looked at the scary horror, we looked at the cute horror. Now let's take a look at some weird shit. Marchen Forest is perhaps the weirdest game that I've ever played. I would say it's bipolar, but that implies 2 opposites, where this has 3 somehow. Tripolar? That doesn't make any sense. Well, neither does this game. There's 3 parts to it. One is a little adventure style game, then the other 2 are kind of like JRPGs, but very different JRPGs at that. Like the developers kept changing their minds midway through development and then didn't want to waste any of it, so they just smashed them together. Somehow you get this utterly bewildering yet charming game that gets pretty hardcore once you're in the final act. Check out my review and maybe you'll be able to make some sense of it, but probably not. There's a standard edition as well as a collector's edition, which is lovely and comes with a figurine of the main character. That's adorable, I want it. Onimusha is a horror-infused hack and slash as it borrows elements from the Resident Evil series. I mean, it was basically Resident Evil with samurai. Yes, much more action-orientated, but the Oni do get kinda creepy at times, and it's just a fun game that's easy to recommend. The only surprise to me when revisiting it on the Switch for my review is just how short it is compared to what I remember. It's less than a handful of hours long, yet as a PS2 owner it felt like dozens of hours. It's still a really fun game to play if you like a bit of survival horror with katanas. Japan coming in with a good old double pack once again. This time we've got Remothered double pack. Yes, both these games received individual physical releases in the West, but in Japan they were bundled together in a nice value pack. Well, it takes up less shelf space for one. Regardless, here you get Remothered Tormented Fathers and Broken Porcelain, the first-person survival horror games that don't exactly run smoothly on the Switch. The first game was positively received on the Switch, but the second game was not, to put it bluntly. Yeah, well, this is most certainly not the most essential import for many reasons, but it is rather unique. Sense is a side-scrolling horror adventure game set in the future. With a contrasting cyberpunk world in a decrepit apartment block, you help set spirits free by completing their unfinished business. But be careful, because this building is littered with nasties to take you down. It has a certain yank about it, but I found it to be an enjoyable experience, especially if you're into more adventure-style stuff. Solving puzzles, doing a bit of reading. The physical version was exclusive to PlayAsia and sold out very, very quickly. Don't miss out on them, since once they are gone, they're gone. Don't make that mistake. And there we have it, a handful of physical releases of Switch horror games only available in Japan and Asia. Which ones do you have already, and which ones do you plan on importing? Links are below for all of them. They all have English, well, unless mentioned. Some of them are good, some of them not so good, some of them are shit. Thanks to our executive producers Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brett McLean, Jonathan Rumor, Santa Tartaruga, Alexander Cato, J Cross 7776, Elissa, Punky Dooster, Michael Del Polito, Cartoon Soren, Jack Severus, Vilos, Robotech, Z, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, and Parsnip Coffee. Thank you for your support, and you, yes, you watching right now, if you watched all the way through, what an absolute legend you are. In the comments, leave me your scariest emoji, then I know you're a true legend. Check out some of our other stuff. Juan made a massive, absolutely massive list of the best horror games on the Switch, not exactly import stuff, but just everything, and we've also got some other stuff. Check out other stuff. Digital bargains on Sunday, physical releases on Monday. We'll see you guys over there. Have a good one.